we wanted to do this roundup of a few headlines in the marketing or advertising side of the industry, the growth part of games growth. First, we wanted to talk about Reuters. Headline is Digital Ad Sellers Jump as Google, Reddit, and Snap earnings indicate sturdy demand. And so the summary of what they're talking about in this Reuters article, quick pull quote, pairs of online ad sellers surged on Wednesday as strong earnings from Alphabet, Reddit, and Snap signaled solid spending from brands ahead of the crucial holiday shopping seasons. The three companies were set to add more than $110 billion combined to their market cap. The concurrent strength in results appears to be an indication of strength in the U.S. economy as well as a benefit from the U.S. election spending, said Gil Luria, who is the head of technology research at D.A. Davidson. Yeah, this bodes well not only for the holiday season, but for other digital advertisers such as Meta and Pinterest that do not believe have reported yet at the time that we're recording. I'm just going to quickly cover all three of these articles and then we can discuss. The next one is about Reddit, and this is from Ad Exchanger. We'll link all these in the show notes. So the headline is Reddit's ad biz exploded in Q3, albeit from a small base. And so a quick summary of what's going on with Reddit. The company reported just over $348 million in Q3 revenue, up 68% year over year, which blew away estimates. Yeah, wow. While ad revenue for the quarter was $315.1 million, a 56% year-over-year increase. And that has definitely benefited Reddit's stock price, which pumped 20% after hours on the day that this was reported. I pulled a quote from the article that I thought was funny too. The writer said, and there's still more room to load these pages with ads. Reddit first launched a conversation ad unit in 2021, which placed a banner ad directly beneath the original post in a thread. Reddit announced plans to introduce even more ads interspersed between comments. And for a few more things, just unpacking the essence of this article, why is this jumping so much? The main thing that I saw was, outside of a couple of trends that we're going to talk about at the end, Reddit is just slamming a lot more ads everywhere. So it turns out that when you get paid per impression, which is the business model for Reddit and a lot of ad companies, and you show those ads more frequently or in more places, you get more money. So there's a couple of seasonal trends that we'll touch on in a moment here, but I think that's the big change within Reddit's control is they just started jamming ads in more places. Also, Reddit is notoriously aggressive with impression capping. If you are a Reddit user, you will know that you will get served the same identical ad, often an infinite number of times per day. I am not sure if they've yet introduced impression capping on their side, so I don't want to say something bad about them, but I do know that by default, they will serve their ads, essentially uncapped, which is not a great way to do performance marketing. Okay, cool. And then the last article here, Variety, is on YouTube and Google. So the headline is YouTube Q3 ad revenue beats forecast, rising 12% to $8.92 billion. So YouTube generated a cool $8.92 billion in advertising revenue for the third quarter of 2024 as the world's biggest video game streaming platform continues to turn in double-digit growth on already big numbers. YouTube's ad revenue, reported as part of parent Alphabet's Q3 earnings, was up 12.2% year over year. Wall Street analysts had forecast YouTube advertising revenue coming in at $8.89 billion for the quarter. According to Street Account, the ad revenue figures don't include subscription revenue from YouTube TV, YouTube Premium, YouTube Music Premium, or NFL Sunday Ticket. So everyone's ad earnings are pumping, Xander. We've got Snap pumping, Reddit pumping, YouTube pumping. We're waiting on Meta and Pinterest. Why do you think that might be?
It's a good time to be a platform. It's a good time to have ad inventory. You mentioned something sort of in passing at the top, which I think is interesting. We're in election season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's completely representative of this increase, but oh man, does it not hurt? I think that's
only one of the three articles really mentioned that. And it's like, we're here in the trenches, we're buying, and we definitely see as we're approaching the voting date for the US elections, that definitely those platforms that get more brand spend have had their CPMs increasing. And it's because of the crazy raises of both parties and their massive, aggressive advertising spend. And political advertising spend is notoriously broad. Yeah, I think they think it's targeted, but it's targeted at sort of like a regional level, definitely not at the same level that we think of most performance marketing. So no thanks to the campaigns for jacking up our prices during this season, but it will all be over soon. I do think part of it's real though.
Yeah. To be fair, we're recording this October 30 on Halloween, October 31st. This is looking back last quarter. And so, I think there's much less of that in these numbers than they will be in the Q4 numbers. But I think largely it's just we're in the era of hyperscalers, right? Scale is the thing that matters, and it's good to be a hyperscaler. The biggest platforms are continuing to consolidate, and they have data advantages, technology advantages, scale advantages, and they're going to continue to squeeze out smaller people and smaller.
I just thought of one other big thing that happened during this period. We covered it on the pod in the past, But it sounds like a really wonky thing. It's super relevant. YouTube finally added the consent prompt for tracking on iOS. So we talked about this a couple times in the past, but prior to the summer, I think it came out in June, performance marketers basically couldn't buy on YouTube on iOS, which is obviously like a huge portion of the spend, because there was no consent prompt to get revenue and attribute to those users and do actual performance marketing. So opening that up, I can say anecdotally, we've been spending a grip on Google iOS, and it's been working great because it's a channel that is just infinite, and there's a gap in competition because a lot of teams still have not caught up there. And even if you are buying there, you need to model because you're still only getting consent from some subset of users. We have tech that can do that. Cool. Most teams don't. So there's a few reasons why Google iOS has been super juicy for us lately, but some of these can benefit you too. So give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is just a monster. Advertising business is way up. And that was, we normalized out YouTube TV, YouTube Premium, YouTube Music, and NFL Sunday Ticket has got to be a big thing. I mean, NFL Sunday Ticket costs like $600 for 4 months. It's crazy. Yeah, I was literally going to buy it, and I looked at the price, like, absolutely not. I'm not that much of a psycho. So, I mean, YouTube is a gift that keeps on giving. I've sort of said this is somewhat related, but like if you want to understand what marketing is going to be for the next 2 decades, you have to watch Mr. Beast. And it's like, I think that is actually right. It's like, this is not a platform that is going anywhere. It's growing substantially. It's becoming one of our, if not our largest distribution channel for this podcast. And it's more and more my consumption is moving to YouTube. And so that's just all anecdotal, but the numbers absolutely back it out. I wanted to touch really quickly on Reddit as well. Reddit is a really, really interesting place. When I think you made the point, they've only started to sort of penetrate with the number of ads on it. If you want to see something funny, look at what Meta has done over the last decade and a half with their ad impression rates. They basically every quarter increase the number of ad impressions by increasing ad slots. If Reddit even dances around the same strategy, this is going to go up and to the right for quite some time. And the other thing I'd say is that Reddit is the beneficiary of a search-like value prop, which is to say, when you search for something, you are showing the intent of what you are interested in. Subreddits are doing a very, 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 very similar thing. You don't actually need a ton of targeting on the user to understand how to sell to someone who's interested in r/watches, for instance. You can just advertise them expensive watches. And the same is true for anything else, costumes, dogs, whatever. These people are opting into the things that they, I think, are important to themselves, and they're easy to put ads against. And so, I mean, Reddit, I kind of was skeptical when it came out. I didn't buy any shares, but it's pretty clear that there's a platform that's going to continue to monetize over time and still continues to grow over time. There was a very interesting interview with the CEO that came out, I say about a month ago. What he talked about is 80% of Redditors are in the US. And so imagine that this platform starts to be able to scale externally to the United States. That's a really, really huge opportunity. One of the things I think that was really interesting, which is maybe unlocked for this, and maybe this is me just like drinking too much of the Kool-Aid, is talking about using artificial intelligence as a translation layer between US native content and in international content as a way of seeding Reddit in those international communities. That is maybe just like cope, but that seems really freaking usable. And so it seems like almost inevitable that this platform continues to grow and that the ad penetration continues to grow. And so that's a place to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah, I think that's right. Reddit has always had the DNA to be a powerful performance marketing ecosystem. It's just it's really sucked at execution. Like, they've had a horrible performing product. I have not tested in the last few months, but historically, any test with Reddit, it's typically been the worst performing ad network. And I hate to say it, but I'm also saying this if anyone at Reddit is listening. Like, I hope you guys continue to invest in the actual infra for your ad network. I think you're already seeing the rewards of doing a bit of this. If I had to guess, there's probably some ex-Meta people that worked on their ads ecosystem that they've brought in to just do some of the standard best practices. But I do think long-term, they will become a power player. They're a publicly traded stock now. They have an incentive to increase revenue a lot more so than they did before. And they have now got a taste of how being more aggressive and intelligent with how ads are served can help with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a good time to be an advertiser. I do want to just flag the thing that is sort of like more like a structural political issue or economic issue. It's like there is a structural issue with the incentives here, which is to say the strong are getting stronger and there's not really any sign of reversing. At a certain point, this has like broad economic impact for the economy overall, right? Because what it ends up doing is as these ad prices are continuing to jack up, you price out small and medium businesses, which means that you either have to be a large company with first party inventory or find some way to be to incremental value within your value chain. And, you know, it's pretty hard to imagine like new emergent ad products that are going to exist outside of these behemoths right now. I mean, the one place that we are hearing the whisper of this is AI-driven ads products. I mean, that is true. There will be some AI-driven ads products. But the thing is, those are owned by the same players largely, and the same VCs. And so it's not like you're having these new breakthrough innovative companies that are going to be massive. I mean, we'll probably see some, but good time to be a shareholder and a tough time to be anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, my final thought is I think it's going to be a pretty fiery end of year for the gaming sector. We've got a flurry of advertising between some big games coming to market and interest rates coming back down. And we also have the last throes of the election powering the ads ecosystem. So strap in for November and December 2024. I'm really curious to see how this is going to be doing for our portfolio. Right now, everything's doing pretty good from a performance standpoint, but I'm curious how hard the brands are going to go. This is usually when we start seeing like the cost of inventory super get jacked up. Yeah, so I don't know. It's game on, basically.
Great. Game on. Let's play.
As always, the pod is brought to you by Xander and me over at Uptick. What's Uptick? Uptick helps games grow. How do we help games grow? We do the work for you, with you. We do user acquisition of all types. We do performance marketing. We do community marketing. We work with content creators, or KOLs as they are called, that I learned about 2 years ago, key opinion leaders. We do all this stuff and we measure it all. Measurement is super important. And we do all this measurement with our platform. If you can't afford to have us be your team, we're really good, but we're not cheap. What is pretty cheap is using our tools. You can use the same tools as us. It's called the Uptick Games Growth Platform. And you can use all the same tools that our engineers have built in-house to give our team the edge with the games that we've been able to really scale profitably. And you can now use those for your team too. So if you are building a game and want to do it better, there's a fair chance that we can help you with that. So reach out through our website. It's uptick.com, upptic.com.
Talk soon. Happy Halloween.